How many times have you tried new things and failed? How many times you started something new and forgot that something needs to end before there's a new beginning? Stay with us. This is God Made Me Laugh. Welcome to God Made Me Laugh. My name is Dr. Iván Tirado. I am your host. And God Made Me Laugh started back in August. And we are already uh, episode 10. This is the last episode of the year. Last episode of season 1. It's been all trial and error during this season, but it's been great. If you're joining us for the first time, God Made Me Laugh explores those moments in life that make no sense until they make sense. And in order to celebrate the last episode of the season, I want to, of course, say thank you to everyone who has been subscribing, everybody who has been watching, and those who have been following also on Instagram, those who have been listening in Spotify, and it's been fantastic. I am very thankful. Thank you for all the support. Thank you for the messages, the comments. Uh, I want to read a few of those comments today. I just need to get allow me to wear my judgmental glasses because otherwise we're not gonna be able to do this. I call it judgmental glasses because I can't look people like that. So I'm gonna I want to read some of the comments from some of the previous episodes because it's been fun. It's been fun. So um well, in episode 4 we were talking we were talking about knowing when the obstacles in life are either a sign to continue and persevere or a sign to stop. And it all depends, of course, on discernment. So we got one of the comments that we got says, yeah, well, I unfortunately have been on the side of pushing forward and ignoring the signs. It is not worth the pain that causes when we don't listen to God. As you said, let us not turn into the donkeys. Thank you so much for that. And it's important that we understand that sometimes God wants to steer us in a specific direction, and we turn to kind of force ourselves in a different direction, and it doesn't work. It really doesn't work. So it's better to just obey and listen, and um, you know, trust the process. This was funny too. This was funny too. This is gonna bring some changes to season 2, and you'll see when we get there. This was episode 8 when in the introduction of episode 8 I was wearing a t-shirt that said porn kills love, and I got a message that says, hi, I'm sorry, I'm distracted by your shirt. I have read it over and all I can make out are the words porn and love. I'm sure there is an explanation or I'm reading it wrong. Well, it says porn kills love. That's what the t-shirt says. So that's in episode 8. Also episode 8, I got another message. In episode 8, I was interviewing Claudia, and she was telling her testimony about how she was not supposed to have kids, but then now she has twins. And we talk about her book, and one of the messages is absolutely love this episode and order my book. Thank you for creating a safe space to speak on hope. Thank you very much for that. And then this one is funny. Episode 6, I was talking about when we try to fulfill somebody else's expectations, and I got this comment that I found super funny. It says, are you trying to fulfill someone's expectations? Sir, you are literally dressed like how Jeff Bezos used to be. So I hope that is a prophecy that eventually I'm going to dress like he dresses now and maybe a fraction of his wallet too. So that thank you for the message. That was really funny. I love that. Appreciate it. Also, episode 6, one message that I think it was the first message that appeared, if not the second one that appeared on episode 6. It says, it made me laugh that this video auto played for me in a way that could not have been funnier. Thank you for such an engaging, warm, and interesting episode. I look forward to watching the rest. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. That's awesome. Awesome, awesome. And episode 7, we were talking about how to handle rejection and criticism. And I got this message. It says, great tips. I was told once that I was too humble and could not hold a leadership position. At first, I felt defensive, but I just listened and actually understood that I needed to become more visible within the department, not change my essence. I earned a leadership position at that time, and the person that shared that critique is no longer around. I am grateful, but I will never forget how it made me feel in the moment and the end result. I am a true believer that rejection is often protection. Great episode. I love that. I love that quote. I love that. Rejection is often protection. That is really, really cool. Very, very good. Thank you for that. And something that is very important to understand, and actually, I was reading a devotional on this and on killing your pride, uh, and one of the quotes says that humility is not weakness; it is a superpower. And of course, the best example of humility is our Lord Jesus Christ. And I mean, he won and he gave us the power to win based on his ways, his methods, not ours. All right, very cool, very cool. Now let's go to the subject of today. Before the year ends, it is very common for people to start creating their goals for next year, and they start like figuring out this is what I want to accomplish. And goals are fantastic. It's great to set up goals. Now it is also important to set up a plan with that goal, because if you have a goal and you don't have a plan, it's mostly wishful thinking. So when you are setting up your goals, there's certain characteristics that are very important for those goals. Number one, the goals need to be achievable. What do I mean by this? Is that you have to set up goals that are realistic and they are achievable. Now, one important thing about goals is you have to plan for what you can control. There's a lot of stuff in life that we cannot control, and we have seen this through all the episodes, and that's when God made us laugh. When He takes control of the things we have no control of. But part of our responsibility and calling is to make sure that we set up those goals for things that we can actually control. For example, let's say that I decide, okay, I want to get 10 interviews or 10 job interviews next year. Now, you have no control over that. However, you do have control to set up a goal to send out a certain amount of applications every month. You see the difference? I will set up a goal for something that I can actually do rather than trying to set up a goal for something that is not under my control. I have no control over getting 10 job interviews, but I do have control over how many applications I am going to send next year. See the difference? Now, I can set up a goal to, for example, say, I want to study this specific subject and I want to get a certificate on this or I want to get a degree on that. Now, there's steps to that, and so that's part of the achievable part. You have to make sure, yeah, the degree is achievable. You have to make sure that you set up a plan in order to get to the process. Okay, so achievable, realistic, those are very important things when you set up goals. Also, you have to work on the s- little steps in between, short-term goals that will lead to the final goal and destination. Now, it's very important that in the process, you keep your eyes open because, yes, we have some control over the things that we can do. However, things might change. And we spoke about this in previous episodes how we set up a plan in our heads. We think that we're going one way, and God says, let me give you some clarity on this and move you into this other direction. So you have to be also flexible. Things can change. Are you willing to listen to God's voice to make sure that you're going in the right direction? That's also super important to take in consideration. In that process, you need to learn how to celebrate your milestones. Now, when you set up short term goals, every time you achieve one of short term goals, celebrate. Celebrate the fact that you made it that far. A lot of times we have people who want to get to let's say a specific weight, and they want to work out and they want to lose weight, and let's say they want to lose 20 pounds, they lose 5, and they sound more disappointed than happy. Now, losing 5 is fantastic. I think it is a great accomplishment. So celebrate those milestones. Celebrate every time you actually achieve some progress. And this is for everything. And one important thing is that a lot of people want to set up goals, specifically when it comes to fitness. They want to set up fitness goals, but they don't do anything to start. Now, and that's the part that I wanted to get to. In order to start something new, it is necessary to stop doing something old. In order to enter in a new beginning, there needs to be an end. The end comes before the beginning. Let's take, for example, I talk to people a lot about the discipline of waking up early. And, like, for example, I was waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning since October 2016. There's days that, of course, I have to be in places earlier. So, what I do is I wake up earlier than that because I do not leave my house without my time of devotional and silent time with God, and my prayer time, my worship time, my reading of the Bible time. That is not negotiable for me. So I do not leave my house without that. So I started waking up at 5. It was very hard at the beginning. It was very difficult. It started with 5 minutes and 10 minutes, and then I'll get distracted or fall asleep. And little by little, it became a habit of about an hour, hour and a half. Sometimes I get more time, so I get to extend my study time. And a few months ago, actually October, I said I'm gonna switch it to 4 a.m. And in order to do that, I have to make sure that something ends before I can start something new. So I had to not stay so long watching TV, or not stay so long trying to look at reels, or be on social media for no reason whatsoever, and getting to bed early. But at the same time, I wanted to go to the gym early in the morning. And when I'm talking about early, is before 6 a.m. So I will have my devotional at 4. I will get ready around 5:30, 5:45. I'm already on my way to the gym or already there. So in order to do that, I also had to think about preparation. So rather than finishing my devotional and trying to find what I'm going to wear for the gym, and then coming from the gym to get ready for work, I also had to make sure that I had everything ready for that. So the night before, prepare, set up my clothes for the gym, and I set up my clothes for work. That way, I can come from the gym, I eat something, make sure that I take a shower, of course, and then and then get ready for work. But everything is already set up, so I don't have to be rushing or running around like a chicken without a head, figuring out what I'm gonna wear or anything like that. So there's some preparation that comes with the discipline. And in that process, you start figuring out, okay, I can do this. I cannot be distracted on my phone when I'm supposed to be getting ready to leave. So there's changes. And actually, Paul, the Apostle Paul, explains this concept when it comes to our personal transformation. And part of his explanation is that when we come to Jesus, when we come to Christ, and he starts teaching us and showing us things in our lives that need to change, like habits that need to be transformed, or habits that need to be eliminated to have new ones. He always starts with the end of something to then move into the beginning of something else. One of the examples that he says, well, if you were stealing, do not steal anymore. There's an end. You don't steal anymore. But what do? You work. So that way, you can provide and have something to share with somebody in need. See, there's an end and there's a beginning. Another example that he gives is, well, stop your filthy talk. Tell the truth and tell what is right. So there's an end, there's a beginning. And that's part of that process. Is you have to remove your old self in order to do what your new self needs to be doing. So that process needs to start with an end and move into the beginning. So it's that process. You move from one to the other. And interestingly, it is very important that we see that the end and the beginning are not so far away from each other. That end and that beginning, they're happening at the same time. You start going to bed early to wake up early. See, it's going to happen simultaneously. It's going to be part of that process of, okay, if I'm not, doing my filthy talk, then I will be talking what is right. So there's the bridge and the transition between the two is very short. It's a very thin line. You just have to move from one to the other. One ends, one continues. And that's part of our transformation. And in order to achieve goals, we have to take that into consideration. I can sit on my couch all day saying, next year I am going to start working out, or next year I'm going to start going to church, or next year I'm going to do this, or next year I'm going to do that. There has to be a plan, and there has to be a preparation, and there have to be willingness. These things don't happen organically unless we're intentional about it. You have to be very intentional in your process for achieving goals. So your goals need to be, again, realistic, achievable. You have to have your short-term goals. You have to make sure that you celebrate your milestones, but also you have to make sure that you have a plan where there's an end before the beginning. And with that, we can make sure that we are better prepared for a year where we can enjoy the process. Because one thing is you have to be very realistic about this. 2025 was a very interesting year for many people. For a lot of people, there were loss in the family, but there were also gains in the family. And there was funerals, and there were weddings, and there were new births, and there were illnesses. There were healings. There's all this kind of stuff. But in all of that, if we pay attention to what God wants to do in our lives, and we pay attention to the transformation that He wants to perform in us, and we willingly fall into the process with Him, and we allow Him to change us, and we get clarity about the next step, you will see that in the middle of all of it, God will make you laugh. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Gina Healing and Wellness Center, Beyond Direct Primary Care, is a proud sponsor of God Made Me Laugh.